The crowd screams in terror. The crowd screams in terror when the markets crumble. They see collapse as the end of wealth, a cruel twist of fate that destroys their hard-earned dreams. But for the architects of the shadow, crisis is not a disaster. It is a precise instrument, a calculated maneuver to purge the weak and reset the system. Imagine a building too old to repair. The most efficient way to reclaim the valuable land beneath it is not renovation, but a controlled, surgical demolition. In the world of high-velocity capital, the chaos we witness is actually a masterfully designed blueprint for a new order of total dominance and control. When the foundation is saturated with debt, the architects trigger a reset. They don't fear the fire. They are the ones who lit the match themselves. Welcome to Compound Core. Today, we peel back the veil of the elite's most guarded secret, the architects of the shadow, and the controlled collapse strategy. Chaos is their greatest harvest. It is the moment when the world's most vital assets are collected for pennies on the dollar by the invisible few. The message on the wall is clear for those who can read it. Chaos is not an accident. Chaos is a tool of the ultimate sovereign. While you struggle to survive the storm, they are measuring the wind. They are the designers of the abyss, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. To build the new, the old must be annihilated. This is the doctrine of creative destruction turned into a weapon by the masters of global finance. Joseph Schumpeter called it the essential fact of capitalism, but the elite have transformed this natural cycle into a deliberate, manual switch for power. Entropy is the natural state of things, but in their hands, it is controlled. They accelerate the decay to harvest the remains of the old world. A truer order only emerges from the ashes of the previous one. They ensure the fire burns hot enough to destroy their rivals, but not themselves. The markets are not a reflection of reality. They are a playground for those who dictate the rhythm of the waves and the depth of the troughs. When the system reaches peak entropy, the button is pressed. The resulting collapse is not a failure of the design, but its most brilliant feature. They manage the chaos to ensure that when the dust settles, every fragment of value belongs to those who remained calm during the engineered storm. The math of the elite is simple. Subtract from the masses to add to the core. Every crisis is a redistribution of the world's limited sovereignty. You see a world falling apart. They see a world being cleaned. This is the cold, hard logic of those who operate above the law of nations. Direction is an illusion for the uninitiated. The architects know exactly where the collapse will lead because they are the ones who drew the map. The noise of the media is just a frequency to distract you from the silent movement of the heavy assets behind the dark velvet curtains. One drop of crisis can intoxicate an entire nation. The architects use fear as the medium to dissolve the old structures of independent ownership. Control is not about preventing change, but about initiating it on your own terms. The masters of entropy never leave the outcome to chance. Watch the eyes of the elite during a crash. You won't find panic. You will find the cold, calculating gaze of a hunter waiting for prey. Take a journey back to 1907. The streets of New York were a theater of desperation. This was the first great test of the controlled collapse. J.P. Morgan was not the savior history books claim he was. He was the architect. He understood that a panicked public is a malleable public. By cutting off the supply of credit, he strangled his competitors. The 1907 panic was a surgical strike against the independent banks of the era. While the masses stood in lines to withdraw their life savings, Morgan sat in his private library, deciding which institutions would live and which would die. This crisis was the catalyst. It provided the proof the public needed to accept a central authority over the entire nation's money supply. Out of the manufactured chaos of 1907, the blueprint for the Federal Reserve was born. Private monopoly disguised as a public safeguard. He didn't just stop the panic, he bought the future. He traded a temporary crisis for a permanent seat at the head of the global table. The architect's signature is written in the fine print of every emergency measure. Every bailout is a hidden contract for total future subservience. The 1907 blueprint is still in use today. The players have changed, the technology has evolved, but the strategy of the architect remains exactly the same. They drain the liquidity first. When the wells run dry, the thirsty will sell their very souls for a single drop of the architect's water. History is a cycle of harvests. 1907, 1929, 2008. These aren't failures of the system. They are the moments the system functions exactly as intended. If you follow the money during a collapse, you won't see it disappear. You will see it migrate into the hands of the architects. They are the invisible hands that guide the invisible sword. When they strike, the world calls it an act of God. We call it design. The vault of power only opens during the darkest hours. They own the night, and they own the dawn that follows the destruction. The clock is always ticking for the masses, but for the architect, time is a luxury they use to wait for the perfect moment of ruin. In the modern era, the architect uses algorithms. They can trigger a collapse with a single line of code hidden in a billion transactions. The art of asset stripping is subtle. It begins with the illusion of abundance, followed by the sudden, brutal withdrawal of all available liquidity. When the red lights flash on the screens of the world, the architect smiles. This is the moment of the great purchase, the ultimate fire sale. Liquidity is the oxygen of the economy. By tightening the valves, the architects suffocate every business that hasn't been invited into their inner circle. Small businesses are like fish out of water during a collapse. They gasp for cash until they have no choice but to be swallowed whole. They don't buy stocks, they buy the infrastructure of life. They buy the energy, the food, and the very ground you stand upon. Total ownership is the goal. A world where you own nothing, and they own everything that makes your survival possible. Debt is the chain, and crisis is the lock. They use the collapse to ensure that debt can never be repaid, only serviced forever. In the digital age, a bank run doesn't happen at a door. It happens at the speed of light. The architect controls the switch. The purge is necessary to maintain the hierarchy. It ensures that no newcomer can ever rise high enough to challenge the original architects. When blood is in the streets, they don't bring bandages. They bring suitcases full of capital to buy the street itself at a discount. They walk through the ruins of your life with the confidence of a man who knows he is the one who designed the demolition. Real wealth is not a number in a bank. Real wealth is the control of the systems that create those numbers. The architects own the system. They are the pulse of the world. When they stop beating, the world dies. When they start again, the world is reborn in their image. Efficiency is the excuse. Control is the motive. The controlled collapse is the most efficient transfer of power in the history of mankind. The performance is for the masses. The real business happens in the dark, where the masks are removed and the deals are signed. It is a cold-blooded philosophy, but in the halls of the shadow architects, it is the only rule that truly matters for absolute survival. The button is always ready. The architects just wait for the system to become fragile enough so that the fall looks like an accident. Conformity is for the victims. The architects stand alone in the rain, dry and watching, knowing they are the ones who commanded the clouds. A new order is rising from the silence. A table is being set for those who survived the collapse with their power not just intact, but doubled. The strategic silence of the elite is their most expensive asset. They do not talk, they act. They do not explain, they simply execute. Power does not seek attention, power seeks results. The architects have learned that the most effective control is the one people don't even notice. What is the lesson for you in this dark history? It is that assets are temporary, but the ability to navigate chaos is eternal. Don't build your life on the bubbles of the architects. Don't chase the praise or the positions they offer to keep you distracted and weak. Toughen your core. Build the skills that cannot be taken away by a market crash or a bank closure. Become a diamond in their rough. When the world is in chaos, the winner is not the one who screams the loudest. It is the one who keeps their head and their cash. There is a high price for silence. It is the price of observation. Learn to watch the architects so you can move when they move. Own the keys to your own survival. Be the one who is invited to the table because you are too valuable to be left on the plate. The story of the future is being written right now. Will you be a character in their script, or will you be your own architect? The machine of the world is complex, but the rules are simple. Those who understand the collapse are the ones who will rule the aftermath. Quiet your mind. The noise of the crisis is designed to make you panic. The architect wins when you lose your ability to think clearly. They are toasting to the new order. You should be preparing for it. The transition is coming, and it will be as silent as the grave. The clock is being reset. The architects are adjusting the time to suit their new vision for the world. The old era is officially over. The question is no longer when the system will fall. The question is, are you ready to be reborn in the world they have created? From high above, the patterns of the shadow architects are clear. It is a beautiful, terrifying dance of power and destruction that never truly ends. The world is their chessboard. The people are the pieces. But now that you know the game, perhaps you can choose a different role. The truth is hidden in the shadows. We will be there to find it. See you in the dark. This is Compound Core signing off.